Okay, welcome everybody to Five Rivers Bee Club. We are live on, I don't know, whatever she posted on. We're live. Anyway, we always open in a word of prayer, and I'm going to ask our number one beekeeper to open in a word of prayer before we get started.
Let us bow our heads. The sovereign ruler of the universe, you're the Lord and host of all. Everything you ever had, ever will have, come from you. Especially the insects that we call honeybee, that we love so much. We thank you for allowing us to maintain them and raise them. Thank you for the people you allow to help take care of them in your name. We ask you to be with the members of the club that's not here, bring it back to us. We ask you to be with the ones out of state, watch over them. Thanks in my son's name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so we'll do just a little bit of business before we get started. Dawn, did you have some minutes for us?
I do indeed. So, the minutes from last month, August 2025 meeting, we met at the old school gym, which is here on School Street, as a senior center is still being used for the City Hall and Police Department. Treasurer report last month was $410 in the bank account with $35 in cash. I read the minutes. Both minutes and treasurer reports were accepted. Lonnie shared with us how to do a varroa mite count demonstration, and then I shared the life cycle of a varroa mite and why it's important to get the count low going into September. And then he listed a variety of I don't know who did it, of counting and management techniques. So it was just a really brief overview. Lonnie shared with us how to do two different methods of varroa mite management: towel extended release oxalic acid and the dribble method. And then I shared about my experiences using the vape wand and the gun. We had a small discussion on how to guard against wax moths when storing our honey supers, and then we did an autopsy on a deadout on one of Vince's nucleus colonies, and we adjourned. Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to accept the minutes? Thank you, Ari. Thank you, David.
All in favor? Aye.
All opposed? Anybody? Do I need to know? Okay.
I oppose. You need to critique it just a little bit better. No,
Okay. Thank you very much. And
Bob is out of town, but and I forgot my phone and I forgot the bank statement, which we still have $410 in our bank. So nothing has changed on our bank account. So we'll just accept that the way it is until our treasurer is here. Anyway, the subject today that we're going to talk about is feeding our bees. But first, before we get going on that, a little bit of business coming up. We have our Arkansas State Beekeepers Association coming up the last weekend of September, which is the 29th and 27th.
It's next Friday and Saturday.
The 26th and 27th?
yes.
Okay, the last weekend of September, the 26th, 27th. I have my reservations there. I hope I got it right. Anyway, the last weekend of September. The Arkansas State Beekeepers Association, we have all day Friday, we'll have some different speakers coming. They're top-notch beekeepers and bees will all about bees and stuff. It's right there at the center, which, what do we call that? The Mountain View. What's the name of the center at Mountain View? Their Folk Center. There we go. And it's really a beautiful place and very well put together. Nice auditorium, nice seating. It's really just top notch. And the Arkansas State Beekeepers Association keeps the price super low. I've been to other state beekeepers associations, and ours is to be a member of the State Beekeepers Association is $15, and it's $35 for the 2-day event. You can't beat that if you're a member. So if you're not a member, it's $55. You save $5 by being a member. You can purchase your tickets as you come in. You don't have to have a reservation. If you would like to pay online, go to the Arkansas State Beekeepers Association, and you can do it online, and they'll have your name tag and everything all ready for you. You won't have to stand in line. So, but if otherwise, a lot of people just pay when they get there. And so I've been to other states, and it starts out usually about $150 plus your housing and so forth like that. Ours at our Arkansas State as good or better than anything you're ever going to find. You're going to meet our beekeeper inspectors. You're going to meet our state etymologist. We call him Dr. John Z because no one can pronounce his last name. Anyway, super good time. You're going to meet a lot of people. The only problem is it is also the same weekend as Homesteaders, is it not? William, where'd you go? Yes. Anyway, the Saturday of the 27th is the Homesteaders, which is really a cool event right here in Hardy. How do you explain? Down here on
By the park.
The park, across the highway, and there will be a, what's the name of the park? Anyway,
I'll be there representing.
and Bill will be there.
Yes.
Bill, are you still in charge of the whole event, sort of?
Yes, sir, I am on the master
Okay,
committee.
well, you tell about it, please. Worth going to, okay? Worth going to.
I'm going to be in the schoolhouse doing story time every hour.
Oh, cool.
I will come up and sit with you for a moment and talk about it if you'd
Okay,
like.
talk into that.
Hardy Homesteaders is a historic event where we talk about how things were traditionally done in the 1800s, usually 1850s to 1880s. At that time, the standard Langstroth hive was built. So I will be talking bees. David there will be talking bees. Joanne, his lovely wife, will be helping with the rest of the event.
Story time.
During the event, there will be Johnson Park here will have music. There will be storytellers throughout Main Street. There will be 2 stages down at the Lohberg Park. And at the Lohberg Park, we will have demonstrators of chuck wagons, branding irons, soap making, candle making, and we will have free food.
And home cooked beans right there on the spot.
We are having beans and hoe cakes, and the hoe cakes are basically corn pancakes.
And what's
And
it
then
cost?
It is all free.
Free.
And we will have free dolls for the children.
I like free.
So it is all free. It's all done by donations. So we did have myself and Mr. Earl Pipkin this year volunteer some honey from the 5 Rivers, and so there will be local honey there. There will be raffles. I won't get into the raffles too much because one of them is a firearm.
Is a fire what?
Bang bang.
Oh, a firearm. Oh,
Yes.
I
So I
thought
won't
for
get
sure it's
into
going to
that
be
too
giving
much.
away a dog or something.
No,
Fire dog.
No, we do have a firearm. We do have a crossbow, and we have a quilt made by a 92-year-old woman. So those will be down there. We do have a purchase area, so if you find something that you want a lot more of that was offered free down there, you can buy it. Like the corn pancakes. We're going to have homemade butter and honey to put on them. Well, we will also have a general store where you can buy larger amounts of homemade butter.
Oh, okay.
Or the mix for the corn pancakes.
That's new.
It is. So you
Cool.
can actually buy those things there for a donation.
So if you're not going to the Arkansas State Beekeepers Association, I highly recommend Saturday, a great event all day at the park.
Yes. 9 to 3 p.m. or 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. and there are other ongoing things there like beard contests.
Beard contest?
Yes, biggest, weirdest, most outrageous. We will also have authentic dress contests. So, however, dress like the period if you'd like to, and the more authentic, the more you'll. And this year is a new event. We've got dress your mule like a mule. So your little ATV mule, dress it like a mule. That is a new contest.
I thought it was like the real mule. Okay.
And this is the first year it is being fully sponsored by the homesteaders. We are giving out $1,000 grant for education scholarship. So.
Hey. Wow. Okay, so back to the Five Rivers Bee Club. Again, I welcome everybody and our visitors. We're going to be talking about feeding your bees, keeping them alive. So what have you seen growing around you that's blooming that your bees are working right now?
The purple things from butterflies falling up around my area.
Purple things? What are they called? Do you have any idea?
They are the purple coneflower, also known as echinacea.
Yeah, they're big blooms. They look sticky. I guess butterflies like them.
Okay, goldenrod. Okay, this is goldenrod. Now, on my way here, I picked this at Highland. On the way, just a field. I pulled over. I said, "Oh, it's a nice big area," and I said, "Oh, I wish my bees was here." Because at my house, I haven't hardly seen anything. So down on the river where I live, there's a little, there's a weed that grows kind of real thick in the water, and little white flower, and the bees work that quite a bit.
That's your bone set.
It grows in the water, and little white flower, and I go, yeah, praise the Lord, little white flower, the bees are working. Yay. And so my bees are hungry. Yes, Bill, go ahead.
The one flower that is also blooming and often gets mixed up with goldenrod, causes sneezing and bitter amounts.
Oh,
It's the ragweed.
ragweed.
It is blooming and the bees love it.
Yes, I bush hogged a little bit, and I couldn't take it on the tractor, even with a mask, and I would come home almost sick and not being able to breathe. And so my helper that comes in, and he stayed on the bush hog doing fields for weeks, bush hogging ragweed and stuff. I hate, in a way, to knock it all down or try to knock it down. So another plant that is blooming right now, just kind of starting, is perilla mint. I wished I would have picked some perilla mint last year. I did. It is a kind of a purplish, tall deal. The way you know it's a mint, the stem is square, and has a little bluish purple lavender little flower, and the bees just go crazy over it. Cows do not eat it. Goats, sheep do not eat it. It's toxic and poisonous if they do, only when it's in a wilted state. If you cut it and it's wilted, and then the cows or sheep eat it, then it'll kill it in about 4 hours. So most farmers hate perilla mint. Nothing eats it that I know of. You know, I think a cow could be starving and they're not going to touch perilla mint while it's green like that. Okay, so part of my subject is different ways of feeding your bees. When I started beekeeping, the only way I knew of what we call the Boardman feeder. And this is a Boardman feeder. It goes on the outside of your hive, and you put a quart jar. It fits down inside there. This is a wide mouth jar. Fits inside there, and that was the only way I knew when I first started with bees. I didn't know anything about sugar brick. I didn't know anything about, you know, any other way. That was the only thing I knew. I would rob my mother of her sugar, and eventually she says, "Hey, you're gonna have to buy your own sugar, and you know, quit stealing my sugar and feeding your bees." So this was another form of feeder that I used. I tried. I liked it, and this goes inside your hive, and it comes in different sizes. It holds approximately a gallon of syrup in there, and it has a little ladder type thing for the bees to crawl in and out. My son uses this a lot in Texas, where he's at, in Houston area, and that is his method. And he has one of them 350-gallon totes with a spigot that he fills up all the hives. You have to take out 2 frames out of the hive usually, and this stays in there. And so he keeps it pretty well year-round inside his hives. A lot of people use this method of feeding your bees. Well, this has its ups and downs. You can see the quart jar, you know. When it gets real hot, sometimes the sun will suck your water right out of there, kind of, I don't know, the different temperatures. And so this, again, has its pluses and minuses. I don't like opening up a hive and having to fill this up and disturb the bees. You know, that's, but there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people use it. This is one, it has the little ladder things and a dirt dauber nest there. You can tell I haven't used it. Sometimes they collapse and there's lots of bees drowned inside there. So that's one of my negative things about using this type of feeder, but I'm not going to condemn it. I may have to use it at one time or another. I've used it a lot with 5-frame nucleus starting hives, and so with 2-frame nucleus colony with a queen cell or something, and putting that in there with full of sugar water, and I just leave it there. I'm not going to open it up. I'm not going to feed it. I don't want, and I reduce my entrance really small because I don't want robber bees to come, and that's a good way to feed them and robber bees not to interrupt. So I'm not saying I recommend it or dislike it. I'm just saying that is a method. This is another method of feeding your bees. Right now, in my opinion, you need to feed your bees. Now, Jessica said hers was full of honey. No, you probably don't. If you have plenty of honey left over in there, you probably don't. But you need to go in there and find out what's inside your hive. You have to open it up, look at it, and see what's in there. This is a method that I used a long time, and I don't know exactly what they're called. Rapid round feeder. Okay. A rapid round feeder is, it's got a little cone right here, and so your 10-frame Longsworth hive, This will fit right there in a little hole. This is on top of your hive. So you take your lid off so you're not disturbing your bees down below. You fill this up with your sugar water. I had a lid that went on top of this that I don't know where it's at. But anyway, it has another lid. And this here keeps the bees from drowning inside here. And this is a little cone that's their little feet, if you feel of it. I took this out of the barn today. You can see how dirty and nasty it is. They come in different sizes. And
one comment I have about that, because I use that exclusively on mine too. Like I said, the other one I use if I have to. But around this area, sometimes the bees can get out and drown. What I have found is if you wrap some jute around it and tie a knot, it gives them a little bit better a foothold. Just a couple times around, or even an old child's sock cuff.
I couldn't believe it, but actually a whole bunch of bees can move this.
Yeah,
And they get out inside here and drown, and you'll...
And tell them why you like the system so much, because that's the same reason why I like it so much.
Because you're not disturbing the bees down below. When you take the lid off, they don't come up and fly in your face. And I used this for a long time, and I have gobs of these made up, these and so yeah, shims. This is an old bee box that I've just cut down and put a piece of plywood on it and drilled a hole right here. Cheap. I didn't spend any money hardly for it at all, and I bought these. I had to order these overseas, come from the UK or something. I didn't find them.
Better Bee has them now.
Yeah.
Marabi has them, I believe.
So,
they're just great.
Like I say, they come in different sizes. I used them for a long time, and not a bad method of feeding your bees. Real simple method. I don't like I said, I don't like lifting the lid off and disturbing the bees. So now I pretty well use this method. This is a 5-frame lid, and I have a hole drilled in my lid. You may not like drilling a hole in it, and I use a bucket feeder. Bucket feeder has some little tiny holes in this. You fill this up with sugar water. You can just use a half a bucket, but one bucket, that is 2 gallons right there. And you put that right over that hole, and you put a rock on it. So, and that keeps the wind after they suck out the sugar water. It keeps the lid, keeps this on it. And so.
How long does it take them to eat all that?
It depends on the hive. A 10-frame hive full of bees can suck 2 gallons down in about 2 days or less. And the way you test it to see if it's empty, you just take the rock off and lift it up. You have bees all over right there. So one of the things that is sealing this as you press it down and seal it. Now, I have a bunch that came from the different restaurants, which they give you free. Lonnie loves free. And I punched some little holes in it. They get potato salad. They get different things that they order from Cisco, I think is one of the main suppliers of the restaurants. And so they have all these buckets that they just kind of give you or throw out. Most of the time they wash them and they're there, and all you have to do is ask for them, and it's free. And so I started using a lot of these, and I really like this method. Now, if you don't like drilling a hole in your lid, and I say this all the time, you can take just a piece of Advantech plywood that you picked up at a construction site somewhere. Drill a hole in this. It didn't cost you a thing. Put it on top of your hive, and whether it's 10 frame, 5 frame, 8 frame, put your bucket on there. You're good to go. Yes.
So what I tend to do on that is I pull the outer cover off, put the bucket on the inner cover, which already has the hole.
Yes.
And then I put a, depending on the size, either a super or a brute frame empty
Around it.
around it, and then put the top on top of it.
And you don't have any robbing.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you don't have to put a rock.
Yeah. So with this method, I don't like extra equipment. I don't like all the extra, maybe something that you have to do separate from your hive. And so trying to scale away from extra equipment or something like that. And so I really like this method. So do you have the video ready of my open feeding that I did? Or, yes, Jessica.
With this bucket, where is it puddle?
Around it? No, when you first do it, it's going to suck out all of the air that's in there. It'll drip for a period of time and then it'll quit. Just like if you use the quart jar, turn up this way, it's going to, water's going to drip out of there until it sort of seals, and then
It's a vacuum.
a vacuum, that's the word, and then it'll quit. And so pretty well 2 gallons on a beehive will really give them a boost. And so today I mixed up a 10-pound bag of sugar water. So 10 pounds of sugar, put into a pan of hot water. We're going to put in some shavings where the bees won't drown. It's going to be open feeding. Let's see what happens. Well, that's open feeding for you. A swarm of bees, boy. It don't take them long to suck up 10 pounds of sugar like that. I put some sticks in there. It helps them to come out there. And I took a little bit of straw from a hay and throw it in the bucket where they could climb out and fly to the hive with their loaded of their sugar water. So this is open feeding. Okay, what's the negative part of open feeding?
Drowning?
Huh?
Drowning?
Well, okay, drowning, yeah. When I go back tonight, I can probably count 10 to 20 dead bees in the bottom of the things. Sometimes they'll fight one another, for the sugar water. Another negative thing about doing it like this. Robbers, okay. I don't want to feed my neighbor's bees. I have a neighbor just a half a mile down the road, and he has 5 to 10 beehives. So I'm feeding his bees while I'm doing this.
Which is why you use the bucket on your
while I use this method rather than open feeding. So when I extracted my honey, I set my beehives outside for the bees to clean it all up and everything, and so they sucked every little drop of honey that was left from extraction. And I even, lots of times, a bucket that needs cleaned out, and I go, oh, well, there's a residue of honey in there, let's just feed it to the bees, and they'll clean it all out, and then you bring it in and finish washing it. The bees got some good out of that bucket that was left with some honey residue or something. But open feeding does, you are feeding your neighbor bees or the wild bees, which is, not a major deal to me, but I'd rather feed my bees than my neighbor's bees. You know what I mean? Okay, does anybody else have a different method of feeding bees? Yes,
I
Jesse.
don't, but I have a question. Last year we talked about not using like the organic brown sugars, but only using white sugar.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Just granulated white sugar. It doesn't matter what brand, just preferably just white sugar. Organic sugar is going to cost you more money. It won't help your bees that I know of whatsoever unless somebody can show me some kind of data that it helps, whether it's organic. I know that Myron Croft only buys organic sugar. Now, what is organic sugar? I'm not totally sure on it, but it's sugar cane that hasn't been sprayed or possibly, I can guarantee it was fertilized. I don't know that there is a thing called, huh? Okay, a fondant, which they use in cake icing, the fondant, powdered sugar. It's okay. I would say fondant is more for winter feeding when your hive is closed up and it's winter, and we would put it inside a shim like this, and the bees can come up, and it's inside here, and you have a cover over it, but not open feeding or so forth like that.
Yeah, I have a feeder. It's about a spigot that sits on top. It's got a check through the middle and basically two troughs on the side with grills in there where you just pour a gallon in.
Okay.
And the bees can come up.
And she mentioned brown sugar. Brown sugar is not good for your bees at all. Powdered sugar is okay. We use a lot of powdered sugar. We'll mix up a little plug when for our queen bees, just like that. It's not necessarily we're going to use powdered sugar for feeding the bees, because it's first off very expensive. So I think Dawn had the best deal on some ground white sugar coming from Costco or something.
Pre-COVID prices, I just got to say, pre-COVID prices, $15.98 per 25 pounds.
And so I think right now, 25 pounds will cost you $25. It's $1 a pound. Sugar, white sugar. The sugar that I fed today in the open feeding, a 10-pound bag was $10. Yes.
Sam's is same price, $16, basically for 25 pounds.
Okay.
Working with in education, occasionally you have stuff that will go bad during the summer, like it'll get, the cafeteria and they have to throw it out. Is there any reason you can't use that?
None.
What about jelly? A lot of times jelly comes in the gallon and they'll have half of one left at the end of the year.
I have no idea on that. I wouldn't have that answer. I've had a.
I've watered it down.
Uh-huh.
I've used it and watered it down. They didn't take to it.
Okay.
Anything like that, but.
I seen online where bees were working a watermelon that was cut. I tried that. My red watermelon, they didn't touch it. And I had a yellow watermelon that we had ate, and I laid it out there, and the bees just covered that yellow watermelon. I do not understand what was the difference. I don't know. But
Bees can't see red.
I don't know what it is, Yeah. And so anyway, the bees worked the yellow watermelon really good the rinds that I had put out. So
That's why you plant your fencing for it goes up fine up the bees.
Oh, is that right? Okay. Somebody say yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
When you use your method,
Huh?
how often do you choose?
I can't say when they. Her question was, how often do I feed them? I like to say when they need it, but mainly when I have the sugar water and it's hot and dry right now. My place has had no rain at all since July, and everything at my farm is just dead as far as grass, flowers. Even bull thistle has died due to no water, and nothing hardly kills bull thistle. And I was looking, I go, why is that thistle dead? You know, it's because it had no rain. And whatever greenery there that's anywhere left, the cows ate it or the bugs ate it at my house. And so, yeah. And that is another good comment. Now I have ponds all around my property, and so the bees can easily go to the pond for water. If you don't have water close by your bees, you need to set out water and like a little rocks in there, pebbles for them. Yeah. Yes. There in Texas, at my son's, he has a big water trough with water lilies, and the bees are on those water lilies, and you can watch them. It's really fun to watch them drink and take in their water. And he has a little spigot. As water vapor goes down, it refills it up, and fresh water all the time in that tank. And lots of bees all around that water.
How does the queen get water? How does she get her?
The only thing I know of is the other bees feed her. Yeah, she doesn't fly out and get water. No, she's only flew out the one time for her mating flight or swarmed. Otherwise, she never goes outside the hive that I know of. You know, and I've been doing it for 50 years or so. Ari, how do you feed your bees? Open feeding? Sort of like the way I showed. Lots of commercial beekeepers will feed this way. They'll use those big totes, and they have holes in it, a lid on top, and the bees go in these holes in the totes, and they fill that thing all the way up that they can, because they're not going to come back to that location for a good while. And one of their methods for feeding the bees. So my son there in Texas, he went to Man Lake, which was in Marshall, Texas, and would get syrup, a sugar water mixture from Man Lake, and using I don't know, spigot and this type method for a lot of feeding his hives. But Man Lake has quit at Marshall, Texas, so there is no more Man Lake. Everything from Man Lake is online, so you're not going to order a 350-gallon tote of syrup. You'll have to find another method. Most of us, as hobbyists, isn't going to buy a 350-gallon tote. We're going to use sugar water from the grocery store, or sugar from the grocery store, mixing our own, or buying 25-pound bags. Any other methods of okay, you're talking a chicken feeder that has a, okay. Now, is that inside your hive or outside? Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yours is on a hillside, that is for sure. I would sure think that you could get that purple, what is the name of that vine? It left me just like that. Anyway, kudzu. He lives over there, not too far from him. There's lots of kudzu on the side of the hill. It's edible, but the flower makes a purple flower, and the honey that's made from kudzu tastes like a grape hat. Yes, yes, very evasive. All kinds of methods. So, do you have any ideas? I'm not a horticulturist, uh, a plant person. What could you plant for your bees for food for this time of year? Most of the times we say we plant this year for next year. What would you plant? Goldenrod. How would you do it?
Well, I would wait for some people to see, like to see.
Sure.
I actually had a little patch of sweet white clover, and I down by my driveway, and I collected all those seeds this past summer, when they finally went to seed. But I'm waiting for my little tiny patch of goldenrod to do the same thing.
So I did do that a couple of years ago. After the goldenrod had turned brown and was gone, I went around and I picked a whole bunch of these heads of the goldenrod. I had a paper feed, I call it feed sack and I just stuffed that thing full of these. And so I went around where areas that I don't know, not my pastures, but on the side of the road, and I just dropped these everywhere. And I did get some plants, but due to this year being so dry and there's nothing out there, they didn't grow or produce that I know of. They might, if we got a rain, they might sprig up and I might see them. I don't know if we have time or not. But goldenrod, cutting these heads off and throwing them all around in your ditches, any place you can. It's a good way to plant, and this is a great source for this time of year for your honeybees. And so instead of sugar water that we're talking about now, this is the best way of feeding your bees, the natural way. So they get pollen and nectar from goldenrod and other plants. I have a couple of vitex trees that started blooming in July. I have 8 minutes, and excellent bee food. The bees were all over it, so you might write that down, vitex. If you want some seeds, I have lots of seeds from my trees. You're welcome to them. You can come and pick them, or I'll bring some in some envelopes. And so spring, you can start your little trees, and excellent, excellent food. They really like sunlight, not in the shade. Excellent bee food. And I'm sure if we had had the rain, I would still see some blooms. They will bloom early morning and bloom all day, and then the blooms fall off, and the next day you have new blooms on the vitex trees. Anything come up, give us a call, and we'll try to help you through any problem. I did have a guy call, and he said, well, I'm allergic to bees. There's some in a tree limb at my house. He said, I don't want to cut the tree. What do I do about it? My response is, leave them alone. Probably they're going to die out within a year to 2 years. Without a beekeeper helping the hive, there's not a lot of chance for that swarm that has come in there. We pretty well do not have any pharaoh bees out in the woods anymore. It's just non-existent. So without the beekeeper's help with taking care of your honeybees, they're going to die. So you need to get in your beehives, take the lid off, get in there and look at them, see what your bees need. Do they need feeding? Jessica said that hers had lots of food. Well, some of mine had lots of food, but I ended up taking a frame, robbing from the rich and gave to the poor. So I took a frame of honey, said, which during my honey harvest, it wasn't capped or anything, so I kind of left it in the hive, and then it come along now, there's no honey coming in, so I took that frame and I gave it to a weak hive, hoping to keep them alive through the winter. So the feed that we are feeding now, we're stimulating the bees with our sugar water, which hopefully the queen will lay eggs and produce some baby bees, which this is going to help your bees carry through the winter, because the bees that you see in there now are going to die. They're going to die before winter. We need new bees. We need good fat bees for winter, which is going to carry your beehive through. A typical working day of a beehive, they're only going to live about 37 to 35 days. So that bee, when he emerges out of the cell, he has jobs to do inside the beehive, and the last 7 days of that bee's life is spent outside the beehive. So out of that 35 to 37 days of that bee's life, most of it's inside. The last 7 days he's out working, and he brings in 1/4 of a teaspoon of honey in his lifetime. Kind of phenomenal, huh? So, dismiss. Y'all have a happy bee life. I'm not going to tell you because I don't know. Well, I wish each of you the best on your honeybees, and